The restaurant lights glowed soft and golden, the kind meant to make everything feel warmer than it was. Daniel sat at a corner table, nervously spinning his water glass. 34, neatly dressed, a finance guy who hadn't been on a date in nearly a year. His best friend had convinced him to try one of those dating apps again, and now here he was, waiting for someone named Alyssa. He checked his watch. 7:03, she was 3 minutes late. The violin music drifting through the air made the silence louder. Then he heard soft footsteps. When he looked up, his breath caught. A woman stood there wearing a deep green dress that shimmered under the low light. Her curls framed her face, and her brown eyes held something familiar, something that tugged at the edge of memory. She smiled gently. "Daniel?" He stood awkwardly adjusting his jacket. "Alyssa? Hi, you look—" She tilted her head slightly. "You don't remember me, do you?" He froze. "Wait, what?" She smiled again, but there was sadness behind it. "I guess not." That was how it started, a date he thought was blind, but turned out to be something much deeper. If you believe that fate can bring back the people who changed your life, even years later, like, share, and subscribe to Broken Chains for more stories that remind us how deeply our lives are connected. As they sat down, the conversation flowed strangely. She seemed to know things. The way he stirred his drink twice before taking a sip, how he avoided eye contact when nervous. Her voice carried a mix of warmth and pain. "I know this must be confusing," she said softly, "but we've met before, a long time ago." He searched her face, his mind racing through years, faces, moments, but nothing clicked. "If we met before," he said, "I swear I'd remember." Alyssa chuckled quietly. "Maybe, but maybe not. You were 17. I was 16. Different names, different lives." Daniel leaned forward. "High school?" She shook her head. "Foster home." The words hit him like a punch. His mind flashed back to that summer, the foster home his mother volunteered at after his dad's death. He'd been angry at the world, silent most days, until one afternoon a girl sat next to him on the porch steps and handed him a melting ice cream cone. "I told you to smile more," she said now, her voice trembling. "And you told me smiling was for people who didn't lose everything." Daniel's mouth went dry. "You're her? You were that girl?" She nodded, her eyes glistening. "Back then they moved me to another home a week later. I didn't get to say goodbye." Daniel leaned back, stunned. "I can't believe this. You look so different." "So do you," she said softly. "You grew into someone your younger self would be proud of." He couldn't stop staring at her. The girl who'd once given him the only kindness he'd felt after his father's death was sitting across from him, now grown, composed, radiant. For a moment, words failed him. Then he whispered, "Why tonight?" "Why me?" She smiled faintly. "I didn't plan it. The app matched us randomly. But when I saw your name, I had to see if it was really you." The waiter arrived, but neither touched their food. The air between them hummed with the weight of years lost and memories half remembered. "I've thought about that day more times than I can count," Daniel said quietly. "That ice cream? It sounds stupid, but it pulled me out of something dark." Alyssa looked down, blinking away tears. "You once told me you wanted to work in finance, make enough money so your mom wouldn't worry again. And look at you now." Daniel gave a small, embarrassed laugh. "Yeah, I did that. But somewhere along the way, I forgot what mattered." She looked up, and maybe that's why we met again. They walked out together after dinner, the night air cool and quiet. Daniel offered her his jacket. She refused at first, but finally took it with a grateful smile. They strolled past the dimly lit shops, lost in conversation, about childhood, about pain, about second chances. Alyssa stopped suddenly near a park bench. "This feels familiar," she said. Daniel glanced around, and then it hit him. This is where that foster home used to be. The house was gone, replaced by a small community garden, but the same oak tree still stood nearby. Its branches stretched toward the stars like a silent witness to their shared past. Alyssa touched the trunk, her voice barely a whisper. "I used to sit here every night and hope someone would remember me." Daniel's chest tightened. "I do now," he said softly. And I'm sorry it took so long. She turned to him, her eyes wet. You don't have to be sorry. We both survived. That's enough. They stood there for a long moment, the city hum fading behind them. Finally, Daniel spoke again, his voice steady. You know, when I lost my dad, I thought nobody saw me. But that day, you did. You saw me. Alyssa smiled through her tears. And tonight, you saw me. For the first time in years, Daniel felt something shift, a weight he didn't know he'd been carrying lifted off his chest. The woman he thought was a stranger had reminded him who he used to be, a boy who once needed saving, and now a man capable of giving it back. When they parted, he watched her walk away under the streetlights, her green dress catching the wind, her curls dancing with it. She turned back once, smiling softly. Don't forget me this time, he smiled back. Never again. As she disappeared into the night, Daniel looked up at the oak tree and whispered, Thank you, fate. Sometimes, life doesn't give you new people. It gives you back the ones who made you whole in the first place.